Hi yogis. So we're going to start sitting comfortably. So just take a little minute to settle the body down. Bring your hands onto your knees. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. Just take a few moments to notice how we're feeling. Notice if there's a bit of you that's feeling stiff or sore. Notice where you're holding tension. And listen to your breath. And this practice of just taking a few moments to notice, to observe yourself, is very important in yoga. The word in the Sanskrit language is svadhyaya, and it just means self-study. So let's just take another few breaths, just noticing. And then we're going to have a look at the pelvic floor. So if you may not be familiar with exactly where the pelvic floor is, so I thought I'd explain that to you. So find your sitting bones first of all. If you bring your hands under your bum, you'll find those bony bits, and then can you pull the flesh out and away from the sitting bones, so you really get a sense of grounding down. And then we're going to find those muscles between the two sitting bones, and we're going to squeeze them together. And you can maybe imagine that that's like an elevator doors coming together, squeezing them together, closing, and then lifting, holding, and then dropping down. So we'll do that again. Find those muscles between the sitting bones, pulling in, lifting, holding, and dropping down, and relaxing. The relaxing is really important. So that's one element within the pelvic floor. The other is the muscles between the tailbone, the coccyx, and the pubic bone. So you can bring your hands to those two bones, and then we're going to squeeze together the muscles between these two bits of you. So again, you can use that image of maybe an elevated door closing, pulling in, gathering in, and lifting. Holding. And then dropping down and relaxing. And we'll do that one more time. But this time we'll bring in both sets of muscles. So the muscles between the sitting bones and pull them together, and then the muscles between the tailbone and the pubic bone. We're pulling them in, so it's gathering in and lifting. Holding. Let the muscles drop down and completely relax. So this area of the pelvic floor, it's the region of the first chakra, the root chakra they call it, or the word in Sanskrit is Muladhara. So we're going to look at that again from a lying down position. So come to line on your backs. And let's just take a little minute to come down, so don't just plonk yourself down. See if you can really sort of feel the back connecting vertebrae by vertebrae. Head down. Really notice that connection. You can be quite mindful through your feet as well, through the hands, pressing down through the hands, pressing down through the feet. And then we're going to see if we can lift that tailbone area and lower it. So the Muladhara, the first chakra, is the first three vertebrae. So just going to lift and lower. And don't make it a big sort of effort. It's really a movement that should feel quite nice, as though you were almost massaging your tailbone against the floor and then lifting it. Quite subtle movement. And then we're going to go for something a little bit stronger, and for that maybe you can bring in the pelvic floor. So you're going to find those pelvic floor muscles, push into your hands, and then lift the hips and hold it. And then lower everything down and relax everything. So try that a few more times. So find those pelvic floor muscles, engage them, pulling up and lifting, holding it. And coming down. And one more time. And the pelvic floor, lifting the hips, holding it. And coming down. And then we're just going to let the feet float up towards the ceiling. So we just want to feel that wherever the feet are, that they're positioned so that the weight of the leg can really drop down into that pelvic area. So you really feel sort of nice little sense of weighting down through the pelvic area into the floor. You can let your feet float around a bit. So you're just stimulating, almost massaging that tailbone area. And then we're going to squeeze the feet and the legs together. We're going to push into the hands. We're going to see if we can lift the tailbone and hold it and breathe. If you want to make it stronger, you can straighten the legs. And you can use your pelvic floor. And then come down. So we'll do a few of those. And when you're ready, coming up on the pelvic floor, hold it. Coming down, relaxing everything. And one more time. Lifting up, holding it, feel the pelvic floor. Keep breathing. And then just let everything flop back to the floor. So we're going to do that again, but we'll make it a little bit stronger. So the hands can come behind the head. So supporting the head, we're interlacing the hands. Going to lift the feet again. Going to lift the head and shoulders. And then the coccyx and the pelvic floor. hold it, and drop down. So just do that a few more times. So if it's easy for you, you can straighten the legs more, you can lift a little higher, you can lift the head and chest a little higher. And then flop everything back to the floor. Let your knees flop in. So you're just going to roll over onto your side. Set yourself up so that your elbows underneath your shoulder. We're going to come up into a side plank. To make it a little bit easier, let's bring the top leg over the bottom leg. When you're ready, pushing down to lift up, can you squeeze your thighs together so you feel more sensation around this pelvic floor area, engage the pelvic floor, and if you feel strong here, you can lift the arm up towards the ceiling and then maybe over the ear. Keep feeling as though you're squeezing the thighs together. If it's easy for you, hold it longer. If you're tired, come down, have a rest. We'll do that again. Do it 3 times. Coming up, squeezing the thighs together, lifting the hand up, overhead, over the ear. Keep breathing. And then down. One more time. If you want to come up into a full plank, strong, then you can do full plank. And keep the thighs squeezing together. Lifting the hips. And then all the way down. We're just going to come to the other side. So roll onto your other side. Set yourself up so your elbows underneath your shoulder. And to really plant the hand. You bring that top leg in front of the bottom, you're lifting up. And then the other arm can come up over the ear if you feel. Keep breathing, keep pushing down into the hand. We'll do that 3 times. If it's easy for you, just hold it a bit longer, or maybe come up into the full plank. One last time. And then come down and onto all fours. So we're looking at foundation. So the pelvic floor is one part of our foundation. Our hands are another. We use them all the time in yoga for things like the downward dog. We need them to be stable. So spread your fingers. Can you press every joint into the mat? And just check your middle finger. Ideally, for things like downward dog, your middle finger points forward. So just settle, position it so that the middle finger points forward. And then we're just going to give the hands a little workout. So we're just going to bring our weight forward a little bit, rocking onto the hands a little bit. Just gentle, make it gentle. So your shoulders are moving forward over the wrists. And then we're going to turn the hands out. And again, try rocking onto the wrists. And we're going to turn the fingers back towards the knees now. So that might be a bit strong to do both hands at the same time. You could do one and then the other. Or if it feels really, really hard work, bring the knees in a bit. So your knees are closer to the hands. Rocking. Do the other hand. And then we're going to tuck the toes under. We're just going to come back to sit on our heels. Spread the toes. And then as much as you can, bring the weight so that your torso is dropping down through the hips, the weight of the torso into the feet. And we'll rest with the palms up. And maybe if you feel quite stable, you can come up to a squat. If you're not feeling so stable, you could just have your hands down, get a little bit of support. And we're going to just sort of drop the heels away towards the floor and then lift the heels. Really working the feet. And then come back to kneeling on all fours. We're going to slide the right foot away. We're going to sort of wiggle a bit on that foot, so you're really trying to stretch out the toes. Look back at your toes. Really trying to make space between each toe and pushing out through the heel. And then we're going to roll from the ball of the foot onto the front of the toe, squeezing the front of the toe into the mat, and then roll back, push out through the heel, roll forward, roll back, roll forward, roll back. And then we're going to lift the foot. And we're going to bring the knee in. We're going to hug it in. Lift it as high as you can. Maybe you can bring your knee towards your nose. And then we're just going to step that foot forward and come onto the heel of that foot. And we're interested in really sort of waking up the foot. So we talked about the pelvic floor, which is one of our sort of foundation. The hands and the feet, obviously, very, very important for our foundations, for our stability. So you're going to just point the toes, pull the toes back, wiggle the foot. Come so that you're flat on the foot. And then we're going to just use our hands to spread the toes. To wake them up a little bit. It gets forgotten about and stuffed into shoes. So we're going to plant hands, make them really firm, pressure into the floor, pushing the floor away and lifting the foot, covering it, taking it all away, and then back to kneeling. So we'll do the other foot. Take the left foot away, really pushing into the ball of the foot, push the heel away. Feel very vigorous, this. Really trying to wake up the foot, and then we're rolling from the ball of the foot onto the front of the foot and back again. Scrunching the toes as you do that. And then we're lifting the foot and bringing the knee in, hugging it in, holding it if you can. Maybe bring your knee towards your nose. stepping it down. So coming onto the heel of that left foot. So you can wiggle it, you can point the toe, you can pull the toes back. Really trying to activate the foot. And then let's just come onto the sole of the foot, and we can use our hands to wake up the toes a bit, move them, spread them. And then we're planting the hands. We're going to push the floor away so that there's space to lift the foot, hug it in towards the chest, and then take it away. And then bring your knees down, tuck your toes under, coming back to sitting on the feet. And if that feels okay, you can maybe come up to squatting, so the knees are squeezed together. If you're wobbling a bit, you can have one hand down or both hands down. And then we're going to come back to all fours. We're going to take the right foot away. We're going to lift the foot, so you're bending the knee, and then we're going to have a go at extending with the other hand. And you're going to wobble a bit, probably here. So this is all about sort of finding the stability, so pushing firmly into that right hand, engage your pelvic floor, and then we're going to take the hand round, and you can maybe reach for the foot, or see what you can find behind you. And then we are going to release the foot, release the hands. So we'll do the other side. Take the left foot away, extend, and then bend. And then the right hand. Find your stability. So that may mean being more firm into the hand, perhaps pushing into the right foot, find your pelvic floor, and then you're going to reach, maybe grab the foot. Keep breathing. Relax your face. So noticing if there's a bit of tension, maybe a bit of annoyance if you're wobbling a lot, or tiredness. And we're just going to release the foot, release the hand, tuck the toes under. Just come back to sitting on the feet. And if that's too much for you to sit like this, you can just come onto the front of the feet and sit there, and we'll turn the palms up. So from our kneeling position, we're just going to come back onto all fours. And we're going to, again, tuck the toes under, and we're sort of really trying to stretch out the heels by pushing the floor away through the hands, lifting the knees. Do that a few times to really feel the feet working quite hard. Try to lift and lower the heels. And then finally coming up into upward, downward dog. Not worry too much about having straight legs. You do want to feel really solid, planted through your hands. And you can Really, from there, try pushing your bum back towards the wall behind you. Drop your head, roll. Roll your head from left to right. You can lift your heels again and lower them. And lift them. And lower them. And lift them and bend the knees and lower them. And then from here, we're going to walk the feet in. Fold down into a forward bend. Completely drop the weight of the head. Going to experiment with shifting the weight from the feet over into the hands. So to do that, you may need to lift your heels a little bit and let your weight rock over into the hands. So your hands are working a bit harder now. And you may also feel that your pelvic floor starts to engage. Just as you feel a little bit unstable, the pelvic floor, the core muscles start to kick in to keep you stable. So we're going to come up to standing. Just take your time to come up to standing. Step to the front of the mat. And bring your hands into your I'm just going to move my camera. So we're going to lift the right heel. Make the left leg really solid. And then let the right foot float up. And we're going to come back into a warrior. So just take your time to come back. We're planting the back foot. So the back foot is flat on the floor. The front knee is bent. And we're really going to work on sending the weight back into that back foot. And if you want to make the front foot a bit more active, you can lift all the toes of that front foot, spread them, and bring them down. The arms for warrior, traditionally the arms come up overhead. Hips point forward, warrior one, Virabhadrasana. And then we're going to come into a little balance from here. So we're going to bring the hands back to the heart, we're going to lift the back heel, and step forward, bring the back knee, the right knee forward, hold it, and we're coming back. So again, send the weight back into that back foot, straighten up the leg, lift the toes and lower them on the front leg, the arms can come up overhead. Make that back leg work a little bit harder. And then we're coming up again into the balance, so we're going to lift the back knee, stepping in, the back knee. Hold it, if it's easy, lift it higher. And then with control, taking the foot back and planting it. So from here we're going to come to warrior three. So we're going to bring the arms up overhead. We're going to balance on this front leg, this left leg. So we're going to take the weight of the body forward, lift the heel, and just step up. And the heel, the toes of that flying leg point down. And if your back's still, maybe just bend the knees a bit. And if you're feeling very precarious, maybe you're happier to have the hands into the heart. And then we're going to step back. One last time to warrior one. And then coming forward. And we'll rest in a forward bend. dropping the body down over the legs. Let the head roll. And bend your knees. And coming up. Take your time to come up. I'm going to go to the other end of my mat so you can see me more easily. So, hands into the heart. We're lifting the left heel. Make the right leg solid. And then let that foot come up. Oop. Oop. I'm wobbling now. And then when you can, with control, take the foot away. We're planting it, back leg straight, push back. Let your front toes work a little bit, bring them all up and plant, and front knee bent, arms up overhead. Hips point forward. And then we're going to come forward to balance on that front leg, so you can step up. Hold it. If you want to work harder, lift the knee a little higher. And control, stepping back, planting that back leg. Really make that leg work a bit harder. Arms can come overhead. One more time, hands into the heart, stepping forward, maybe lift the knee higher if you feel stable, strong, and with control, stepping back. So each time we step back, we're trying to find our foundations again, so pushing back into that back foot, lifting the toes of the front foot, planting them so the feet feel really stable. And then you can bring the arms up. And we're going to come forward into warrior 3. So we lift the back heel and we're just stepping up. If you need to bring the hands into the heart, you can. Otherwise, hands extend in front. If you need to bend the knees a bit, you can do that. And then coming all the way back. One last warrior. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana. And now, one last time, hands into the heart, stepping in, bring the foot down. And we're just going to squeeze the knees together, squeeze the thighs together, drop into a high squat, and swinging the arms behind and lifting up. So you've got one long line from your hip into your fingertips. And coming all the way down, drop the head. We're going to take the feet a bit wider. Going to lift one foot and place the hand underneath the foot. You'll need to bend your knees for this. So you're treading on one hand, sorry. Let the weight tip over into that hand a little bit more, so it's like you're massaging the hand. You can do the other hand. Maybe you enjoy doing both hands together. And then we're going to come down into a squat. I'm just going to turn around so you can see me. Lower to a low squat. Feet, I'm taking them a bit wider. If you hate squatting or your knees are really, really sore, you can sit on something. Makes it a bit more manageable. Otherwise, let your bum hover. You're just trying to drop down in the bum. So the focus has been on foundations, hands, feet, pelvic floor. It's the particularly the pelvic floor is the root chakra, and it's very much about being earthed, being grounded, stability. So these low squats are brilliant because they be basics of pose. Got your bum dropping down to the ground. So you're going to come completely onto your bum now. Hopefully elegantly you can just drop your bum to the ground. And then I'm moving around again so you can see me. And I'm going to bring the hands behind my hips. Fingers point towards the hips. I'm going to lift the chest. So my knees are about hip width here. Feet about hip width. Lift the chest, lift the chest. And then round the chest. Chin to chest. Lift it and round it. So that might be quite enough for you. If you want something a little bit stronger, you can lift your bum over towards your heels. Do that movement from there. And then if you want something a little bit stronger, you can lift your bum again over towards your heels and lift up. It's like a tabletop position. Really pushing the floor away, make the arms work, the hands work quite hard. Head can drop back. Come down when you need to. And try it again. Have a rest. And when you're ready, you can do that one more time. And then you're coming all the way down. Keep the legs bent, let your body fall down over the legs. You can sway your body. So we're trying to stimulate especially the lower back. It's the domain of the first chakra, those vertebrae between the buttocks, down to the tailbone. And then you're coming up. So this time, squeeze your knees together, squeeze your feet together, squeeze your thighs together. We're going to dig the heels into the floor. Your hands can be holding the legs, or they can be on the floor. We're going to just drop back a little bit, so you're going to feel a little bit strengthening. The muscles of the lower belly are having to work a bit harder. And then we're going to lift the feet. If the feet, lifting the feet causes pain in the lower back, then just don't lift them so high or keep one foot down. And do that. And then come up, have a little rest. And once again, coming back. Boat pose. If you feel strong, maybe you could extend through both legs. Try to keep a sense of openness here across the collarbone. And then we're going to go low. And extend the legs and come up. And go low. And come up. And go low. And up. And down. And up. If you need to use the floor, push it to the floor with your hands. Otherwise you can have your hands lifted. Or you can have them behind the legs. Just kind of build up a little bit of heat. Notice that bit of a more stronger breath, heartbeat, stronger heartbeat. And then finally coming up, just hold it all in, squeeze the thighs in, lift the chest so you're not just sort of collapsing forward into this. And then very slowly, with control, we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to the floor. And enjoy that immense relief of the body coming back to the ground. And we're going to, because quite strong work around the pelvic floor, so we're going to, rather than straightening the legs at this point, just take the feet wide, let the knees flop in, and bring the hands onto the belly. So we're just finished with a bit of 3-part yoga breath. So we're going to breathe into the belly, in and out through the nose. Breathe into the belly. Feel the expansion of the belly as you breathe in. As you breathe out, feel the belly fall. And then going to breathe in to the belly and let the breath rise up into the rib area. So you could maybe have one hand on the belly, one hand on the ribs. And then as you breathe out, feel the ribs contract and then the belly contract. Breathe into the belly. Breathe into the ribs. Breathe out through the ribs, breathe out through the belly. Finally, we'll bring in the breath up into the heart. So have one hand on the heart, breathe into the belly, into the ribs, into the heart, and back out. So you have that sense of the breath as a tide moving up the body as the breath comes in. And as you breathe out, breath leaves down the body, moves down the body. So breathing in, feel the breath, fill the body. Breathing out, feel the breath leave the body, from the chest down. Take a few more breaths like this. It's very, very calming, very absorbing, having that intense focus on those different body parts as the breath moves through them. And then when you're ready, you can just come into your version of Shavasana. So if your back is sore, maybe keep your legs bent. Otherwise, you can straighten up your legs, let your feet fall down, and the hands come out to the side, unless you enjoy, maybe you like to have the hands on the belly to feel the breath come in and out. And the head, it tips back. Maybe you want a bit of support under the head. Just breathing in and out. So at the beginning of the class, I was talking to you about Shavasana, Svadhyaya, this idea of self-reflections, noticing. Shavasana is brilliant for practicing that. Very simple, quiet pose. Going to notice the rhythm of the breath.